let's chat about the U.S. versus Spain. Following the England match, Emily Fox, defender for the United States, the left back, she came out in the 22nd minute of that England match, and she's now ruled out due to concussion protocol. So Black Witanowski has called in North Carolina Courage defender Carson Pickett to replace Fox on the roster. Pickett has one cap with the U.S. that came in June earlier this year, so now she will join the roster. But the United States takes on Spain Tuesday, October 11th. Number 8 ranked team in Spain in the world. So 2 top 10 teams, really tough competition. That kickoff is happening at 8:30 p.m. local time. That'll be 2:30 Eastern time. I can't figure out all the time zones for everyone. I'm just going to stick with 2 of them for now. But it's the 4th meeting all time between these 2 sides, the U.S. and Spain. Spain coming off a 1-1 draw over Sweden over this first match of this FIFA window. But when you look at what the U.S. just did against England, losing 2-1, narrowly tying it 2-2 with that VAR goal called off. And now as they head into a match against Spain, let's talk about the differences first, right? How does Spain play differently versus an England side? Are there any major differences in the style of play that the U.S. players will face going up into this different match away in Spain? Lori, Danielle, Sandra, anything specifically about this Spain side that jumps out to you?
Well, I think the first thing is that it's not the roster that I think they anticipated facing going into this one, right? I think it would be irresponsible of us to come on here and not touch on that a little bit. Unsurprisingly, players in this sport are affected all over the globe, and that includes players in Spain playing for the Spanish Federation. And there are a number of very talented players who are not on this roster. There was 15 players who sent an email to the federation and wanted to try to be heard. They did that out of privacy, and they wanted to try to maybe, facilitate a dialogue. And the federation spun that a bit on them. Yeah. And a lot of these players are not participating in this current international window. So it's a different looking roster that the United States is going to be going up against in the meantime. But this is also a roster that just, like you said, Lisa, got a 1-1 draw against Sweden. So I would imagine that there is still going to be a certain level of competitiveness to this match. I don't anticipate anything otherwise.
Go for it. I mean, I think, the one thing that we expect is this is a team that's going to want to dominate possession in Spain. We know that, even with a considerable amount of players missing, that is in their DNA, right? To keep the ball, keep it moving, get combination plays, right? Overloads in different areas. And I think that's an important test as well for a team like the U.S. because as of late, outside the England match, I think we're the ones that have had the ball the most. So what does that look like? How do we deal with that? Again, I think it's this kind of similar questions, maybe not as direct. I don't think they're going to be able to be as threatening. As one thing that was a talking point in the Euros was not having a true number 9, a player that was going to constantly threaten the 2 center backs or the back line of the opposition to get in behind. I would expect that's probably the same coming into this match against the U.S. So that'll be different versus the England. But I think, the same questions you can ask is when we press, are we going together? Because that'll be a team that for the most part will look to try to play out and try to expose us centrally to then be able to get into the attack with numbers. And then and then also if we don't decide to press, can we stay back as a unit and then look to see if we can punish on the counterattack? And what does that look like? And what is the partnerships? I'll be curious about the starting lineup. I expect there to be some rotations, right? And who gets more numbers? I mean, who gets more minutes, which was always valuable and exciting. And I think just poses a little bit of a different test. But I think the idea that the U.S. is going into this game to continue to evaluate, continue looking to get a win in this game is all the same.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the thing that stands out, like the United States matches up well against England. They're both similar in the way that they want to play. Physical, they like to be in transition. The England maybe not quite as transitional as the United States, but like that's a fun matchup. You're in Wembley, like there's all of the things. Like playing against Spain, and I actually felt this was the same way when England had to play against Spain in the Euros. I think they in the quarterfinals. Is that right? Yeah, the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Like, this game is a grind. Like, this game for the United States, like, we like to be in possession. We like to be flying. We like to be like pressing here. And I'm telling you, if you get one person pressing and the 9 other don't follow, Spain can like skin you. Like, they will pick you apart. And a game against Spain is like, you have to be prepared to suffer. Like, it's just not the way you love to play. It might be, as a fan, a really fun game to watch and beautiful soccer, but when it comes to like having to defend for 70% of the time, it comes for having to stay connected and chase and pick and choose your moments. Like, that's not the free-flowing style we've become accustomed to see. And that's not how the competition usually stacks up against the United States. So when you think about this game, like, I'm really eager to see what it will look like, especially as you guys have mentioned, these 15 players that are missing for Spain. Like, I still think it'll be a decent side that we'll see. Lori, to your point, I still think that despite the absence of these 15 players, the style will not change. The identity of Spanish soccer will be ever present. But I'll be really curious to see if they can move the ball as effectively against the United States, and if they can basically execute the way that they want to. Because even when we look back to the Euros, the absence of Jenny Hermoso and Alexia Putellas, like, that had a real significant effect on the success of Spain in the Euros. And now you deplete that even more. And I think it's going to be a big challenge for them. But I didn't see I just saw the result. I didn't see the actual game between Spain and Sweden. So not really sure how that played out, like, from a technical and tactical standpoint. But that result is significant. That's a good result for probably both teams. And so that can't be discounted either. Mm-hmm.
When you look at the U.S. side and how they are going to have that defensive mindset, even when they do have the ball, because Spain can punish a team with their possession and the way that they can move the ball, so technically skilled. When you look at the United States midfield, what player rotation do you want to see from there? Because I know I want to see Ashley Sanchez get significant minutes for this United States side. I want to see what she can do alongside of Rose Lavelle. I think Vlatko Andonovski calling in a player like Sam Coffey deserves some significant minutes in the midfield, but player personnel wise, who do you want to see get more minutes in this match against Spain? Maybe that didn't in this first match against England. Lori, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think Sam Coffey is one that I would like to see in there. She's a player that I have been high on the entire season, and I think she's done incredibly well with Portland. And we saw her come in, and I think one of the first touches of the game was solid and with confidence against England when she did come in those last minute. So I would like to see what it's like. And when we saw her play almost either a full 90 or almost full 90 against Nigeria. Mm-hmm. And so this will be a different test than that. And, one of the things we've talked a lot about defense on this podcast today, but I would like to see Sam Coffey get on the ball, right? And so once we do win it with the U.S., a player, even if it's Andy, then a player that wants to get on in that number 6 position and really start to move the ball around. Because I don't think we've seen that. I think that is one of the things that a lot of us have been wanting to see, a little bit more dictating of the tempo, moving the ball, deciding rhythm setter, right, of when we're going to go a bit more at speed, when we're going to slow things down. And there could be an opportunity for that against this Spain team when we do win the ball. So I don't know if, I'll be stoked for whoever plays, right? Yeah. Like, it's more about, like, I think the way that we play is what I'll be looking for and who can kind of put that stamp on that. And I think that is the next element. I mean, we know that we can hit in the break and in the counter, and we saw how dangerous we can be. And I think there has been question marks on when a team maybe essentially does drop back a little bit. How do we keep and how do we break down that defense? And I'm not so sure. I'm with Danielle. I didn't see the game against Sweden. I'm not so sure that they'll just drop back, but I don't think if they can't win in the press immediately, Spain, and win it back, I do think collectively they will drop in somewhat to at least give us an opportunity to see if we can play. And so I'll certainly be looking for that.
If and when Spain does drop in, what do you want to see from the U.S. attack? How do you want to see them combine and go forward if they do have a little bit of space?
I mean, I think the width becomes incredibly important, right? I mean, and I think that's a real strength of this team. You see Mallory Pugh, you see Sophia Smith doing their thing. I have to say, like, I actually don't want to see a lot of different changes. I'm ready to see some consistency out of Vlatko Andonovski. I'm not saying that that means we don't have a couple of tweaks here and there. I mean, obviously, like, the question to me is, do you start Haley Mace? Do you put Crystal Dunn back there? Like, how many minutes? Like, I think it's a load management thing more than anything with Crystal. Do you put her at left back? Do you put her in the midfield? Everyone's going to like debate, where's the best position? Who knows? I don't know yet, but really, like, to me right now, it's about getting her minutes and healthy and like getting some repetition under her belt. And so to me, okay, maybe you put her out there a little bit, or probably start Haley Mace and bring Crystal Dunn potentially on for that. But I don't know that I really want to see a ton of changes other than a couple. And I think, I don't know, that's the bandwagon that I'm on now of it's time to start solidifying who's going to be there. I mean, obviously there's still missing pieces, right? I mean, there's no Pugh. You kind of can plug her in at the left winger, most likely. Maybe, but like even at a striker position, is it going to be Alex Morgan? Is it going to be Kat Macario? Is she going to be back? Is it going to be Trinity Rodman? Like, so give Trinity like a little bit of a run here. Like, give her a chance to like get some confidence, as opposed to being like, you're in, you're out. Now you have to be a starter. Now you have to shift mentally and come off the bench. And I don't know. That's where my gut's leaning today, at least.
Yeah, I'm with you in your gut, Danielle. Honestly, I just don't know if it's a rare opportunity to have a 2-game series in Europe like this. So why not, have a little bit of continuity there? Calling in Pickett, and in light of Fox ups, I'm a little bit curious if there's intent there, to start this player. Which, listen, we've been covering Carson Pickett all through the regular season with the Courage. So yes, I would love to see Pickett fly down the flank. Yeah, of course. But I don't know, if we actually will see that happen. But I would like to see some carryover from what we saw in that match against England in this match against Spain.
Yeah, I agree. I want Trinity Rodman up top for sure. I want to get her some consistency. And I think the way that she played against England, getting what would be the equalizer in that match against England, proves that she's ready for this, and that give her that confidence, as you mentioned, Dee, and just keep running with her. I'm excited for this match against Spain. I want to hear final score predictions from all three of you about U.S. versus Spain. Final thoughts on anything else you want to add in here. Lori, you first. Final thoughts on this episode before we close out, and of course your score prediction for U.S. Spain.
Yeah, I'm just excited for another game and a different opponent for this U.S. team, and for all the things that we've already said. But God, a score prediction. Oh, geez. I actually have no clue. I don't even know where to begin in a score prediction. I can throw something out, but yeah.
Have fun with it. Be like touchdown, 7-0.
Yeah. I think we're seeing some fun performances, right? I'd like to see more goals from Sophia Smith, from Trinity Rodman. So I don't know. 2 or 3-0 US. What I'm going with.
Oh, I love that.
Right on. Got a shutout.
2-1.
Yeah.
I think. I don't really know why. It just feels right. So
what did you say? 2-1. Yeah, fair.
US. And I think it'll again. I'm just really curious how the United States will be able to break down Spain, how to weather their possession. I think it's a really good, different test. And I'll actually be interested to see, given all of the stuff that's been going down in Spain, will we see the teal armbands again? What will that look like? I think, obviously the Spanish players are in a line has been drawn, right? In Spain. And so there's a lot. And my heart goes out to all of the players in Spain as they navigate whatever it is that's going down there, as we feel the same way here in the United States. It's a hard time in U.S. soccer right now. It's a hard time in global women's soccer right now. But I just keep thinking like let's just get all the virus out. Like, let's get it out right now. And let's find a way to actually like repair this broken arm instead of putting a Band-Aid over it.
Yes, really said so nicely. Thank you so much, Danielle, for that sentiment for sure. Sandra, score prediction? You got one against Spain?
You're gonna have me do a score prediction after Danielle just carried us on.
Yes, I want to know your score prediction.
Yeah, maybe I'll be bold too and say shutout, but only 2-0.
Yeah, I'm thinking 2-0
too. Trinity gets that banger back.
Yes, I love to hear that from Sandra about Trinity. I'm with you, Sandra. 2-0. Trin gets one. Let's get Sophia Smith one too. I really appreciate it. Reminder, you can watch the U.S. versus Spain Tuesday, October 11th, 8:30 local, and that kicks off at 2:30 Eastern time. Thank you, everyone, so much for listening and joining us today. Danielle, Lori, Sandra, thank you for joining us.